Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big one. This is a big one. If you would have stopped time and polled me on whether or not this would happen, chances like 1%, 2%, you know what I mean, 5, 20, anything, I would have said never under any circumstances. And I would have been dead wrong. I would have been dead wrong. I'm sitting here. I've said many a time on this platform alone that there's no reason to port HellDivers to Xbox. They don't have the install base, and I still believe that. But what I believe does not make moves at Sony PlayStation, because here it is. Here it is. You know, August 26th. Surprisingly, the same date as Gears of War. So we do got a little Barbenheimer PlayStation Xbox moment happening. It's shocking. It's shocking. It really is. And it does put into question, okay, can all the live service games come to Xbox? That might be the plan. That really might be the plan. But then, let's not pretend that's the gateway drug. You know what I mean? That's the gateway. Well, we could get an extra. If we've learned anything about these companies, they like that extra piece. You know what I mean? We could get a little extra on Spider-Man 2. We could get a little extra on Ghost of Yota. You know what I mean? I can't even blame the Xbox dudes for asking that question right now, because it was the same question I asked when Phil said just 2 games. And PlayStation ain't come out and told us shit. They just dropped the game and said, this is what's happening, boy. That's the type of shit PlayStation be doing, man. Hey, listen. I can't. Look, this is always it for me. This is always it for me. The difference between Xbox and PlayStation at this point, I do think PlayStation will still hold to its console exclusives for its single player games. I believe that. I can't 100% say that with 100% certainty at this point, but I believe that because they're still making exclusive deals, and they still have to sell the box. That's the thing. That's the big difference between Xbox and PlayStation at this point, is PlayStation still counts on box revenue, and Xbox is trying to get far, far away from it. So as long as I like the exclusives that are coming, as long as they keep coming, I guess I'll stay with PlayStation. You know what I mean? But it really is, to me, and I want to be very clear about this, because you're not going to see me be one of those dudes like I criticize Xbox guys for on this channel. Oh, man, well, just moving my morality or how I play games along with the company, yanking at my chain. I value PlayStation for their exclusive catalog, and whether it's been out for a year or not, you just gave one of your big pieces. I don't play HellDivers 2 like that. Never did. I maybe have like 14-ish hours in it. Played it with the boys a couple times. Not my favorite thing, but that's still a huge piece of your portfolio. That's a rose in your walled garden. And you gave it to the other side. So I got to look and be like, okay, for next generation, when I'm putting down however much you guys are asking, are you just going to be giving it to them in this amount of time, or is that the deal that we're making? How much is that worth to me? You know what I mean? And that's versus the other, offers and opportunities for consoles out there, the different feature sets. So, that's the big question. That's the big thing about exclusivity. That's the whole big thing about really the console industry as we have known it. But I think if this shows anything, how we have known it is in radical flux, in extreme radical flux. And it's happening Everywhere is in radical flux. You know what I mean? Things are shifting, and people think Nintendo isn't shifting, but I'm sure people also thought this generation wasn't changing much in the first 2 3 years, and then it changed a lot very quickly. So, you know, I would say everybody needs to buckle up for what video games are becoming. You know, it is interesting, man. It is interesting. I'm certainly not mad at it. Again, HellDivers 2 isn't something near and dear to my heart. I was more, huff puff about Final Fantasy, going over, no, my beloved Final Fantasy. But I mean, hey, look it, man. Helldivers 2 is a super successful game. And when it inevitably, this is a question I have though, when it inevitably shoots to number one on the Xbox store, is it going to be, oh, PlayStation is dominating the Xbox store now? Or is that narrative going to fly out the window now that it's not an excuse? You know what I mean? But also, can we criticize Xbox as a third party publisher for it's original sin? Now, it really just comes down to, unfortunately, like if you're a PlayStation diehard, if you're a PlayStation guy out in those streets who has tied yourself to that console, and again, I don't feel like I have. Obviously, I like PlayStation, but I'm not tying I'm not going to defend this move in any way. I don't feel like I have to. But if you do, I feel like the only leg you have to stand on at this point is like, okay, the single player games, the single player first party games. And that's never been what I've been with PlayStation for. I'm always here for the Japanese hits, the Eastern influence. It looks like we're moving into China and Korea now. Got a lot of cool stuff coming out of there. PlayStation got the Eastern Connect. I like the Eastern influence. That's kind of where we're at right now. But again, exclusivity is a big part of that. Exclusivity is a big part of that, because if not, I mean, I also prefer console gaming as opposed to PC gaming. But whereas PC gaming, I imagine in about 10 years is going to be as seamless as console gaming, you really do gotta wonder, in 10 years, I realize at my big age is not nearly as long as you'd hope. So, these are things to think about. These are truly things to think about. And, yeah, it's a revolving world that we're in. It's changing and influencing, and nothing can stay the same, and something certainly just changed. So, those are my thoughts on it. Welcome to the fight for democracy, Xbox fans. Oh, y'all boys have been very thirsty for this game. Let's not pretend. There was a lot of port begging for this game, but somebody heard you. Somebody heard you, so maybe it works. But hey, I'm gonna be playing Gears of War that day, so I can't even lie. It's gonna be a lot of shifty looks as we pass each other on the subway type day. You know what I mean? But hey, man, it's a new world for gaming. New world for gaming. New world for everything. Now we really got to compare the quality of the products, which again, I still think PlayStation is putting out better games, certainly less games, but better games. Playing Death Stranding right now, extremely addicted. So it's just, if that continues, and I believe it will. I think maybe live service games will go over. I'm not sure if they'll launch day and date. They might, and that might be better for them. As a fighting game player, I do hope. I mean, if HellDivers can go, why not Tokon? FGC to me is like the neutral ground. You need as many players for these fighting games as you can get. So, that I wouldn't even mind. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even mind. But I do think now at this point, Sony does have to make it clear to the customer, though. I would like that. I'm not going to, abandon the console. I'm not going to throw away my PS5 Pro if they don't. But, I think it would be best for Sony to communicate with the customer what their plan is for their live service games. If they're going to be exclusive, if they're going to be launching day and date, if they're going to be launching later. if this was just a one time, but highly, 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 highly doubt that this is a one time test for Xbox, especially after they make all that money, because it's going to shoot right to number one. Because Xbox boys have been thirsty to play some motherfucking HellDivers. And now they'll get to. But alright, boyos. That is it for me. Just had to come out and address it real quick. Had to come out and say something. But I am Preacher. And no matter how the world moves, shakes, or changes, I do so hope to see you back here on the pews.